So we're going to pick up on page 680 with, take that back. I'm going to drop 55 too. All of 2. So we will pick up on 680 with number 73. I ought to do 55, but we're pressed for time, and I want to try to get as many of these done today as possible, which maybe we'll get through Sonnet 116. The time of year thou mayst in me behold, when yellow leaves or none or few do hang upon those boughs which shake against the cold. Bare ruined choirs, where late the sweet bird sang. In me thou seest the twilight of such day as after sunset fadeth in the west, which by and by black night doth take away, death's second self that seals up all in rest. In me thou seest the glowing of such fire that on the ashes of his youth doth lie, as the deathbed whereon it must expire, consumed with that which it was nourished by. This thou perceivest, which makes thy love more strong, to leave that well which thou must leave ere long. Okay? So, in the poem, and we haven't talked about this before, hopefully you've talked about it in the 3000 course if you've already taken that, or in something else, but Shakespeare's sonnets are composed of 3 quatrains and a final couplet. Okay? Quatrains, 4-line stanzas. Okay? They differ, that's a Shakespearean or an English sonnet. They differ from an Italian sonnet or Petrarchan, sonnet, in that an Italian or Petrarchan sonnet is composed of an octave and a sestet. Octave, lines 1 through 8, and then at the end of line 8 or the beginning of line 9, however you want to look at it, you have what's called the volta. Volta means turn, okay? And then you get lines 9 through 14 are the sestet, okay? And they also have different rhyme patterns, and I'm not going to go into rhyme patterns because it'll take too much time and we've got too many to try to cover. So, 3 quatrains and a final couplet. The way that usually works is the final couplet sums up the 3 quatrains. You can almost think of the 3 quatrains as 3 elements of a logical syllogism. 3 premises, therefore, okay? So look what Shakespeare's doing with this one. Each quatrain has a different image, all right? That time of year thou mayst in me behold, first image, okay? Second one, in me thou mayst seest the twilight of such day, okay? So end of the year, end of the day, and the third one, in me thou seest the glowing of such fire, the end of a fire. So, the time of year thou mayst in me behold, when yellow leaves or none, or few do hang upon those boughs which shake against the cold. Bare ruined choirs where late the sweet bird sang. What's the image? Fall to winter, notice. Okay? Yellow leaves or none, or few do hang upon those boughs which shake against the cold. Bare ruined choirs. And you have a footnote. Parts of churches designated for singers. Does that really help? Does that footnote really help you understand that line? And I should add, by the way, a historian has written a book at least as thick as your text, based upon that one line. Bare ruined choirs. Okay? Because his argument is that what Shakespeare is doing here is he's talking about the dissolution of the monasteries. How the choirs in the monasteries have been dissolved and how they are now bare and ruined. And he just goes into the whole history of the period, okay, off of this one line, okay? But what else does it mean? Bare, ruined choirs. Okay, footnote. Parts of churches designated for singers. So what are the choirs? He's not talking about the churches. He's not talking about the seats in the churches where the choir sang. What are the bare, ruined choirs? Look out the window. Trees. Where late the sweet birds sang. The birds are the choristers. The birds sing hymns to God, so to speak. What else might the bare, ruined choirs be, and what might the choristers, the songbirds, be? Think metaphor. What happens to men often, let's say, as they grow older? Okay, what else? They start to lose their hair. Okay? Well, how can the head be the bare, ruined choirs? Where does thought reside? In the head. Okay? So if the leaves, the golden yellow leaves or none or few do hang, are metaphors for hair, okay, then we have what? We have an image of the dying of a mind. Okay? So it's not necessarily just the year. Now look at the next image. In me thou seest. Okay, so first, that time of year thou mayst in me behold. Notice, it's entirely metaphorical. He's not talking about trees. He's saying, you see this in me. Okay? In me thou seest the twilight of such day. What is twilight? Is it pitch black? It's after the sun has set, but before it's pitch black at night. So you still have that glow on the horizon. In me thou seest the twilight of such day, as after sunset fadeth in the west, which by and by, that is, moment by moment, what? Black night doth take away. Black night, he is suggesting, kind of overpowers the twilight. Death's second self, that's black night, that seals up all in rest. All in rest. Rest there has two meanings. As in everything, the rest. Okay? But also rest, peace, stillness. Because when you're dead, you're no longer active. You're no longer moving. You are at rest. In me thou seest the glowing of such fire, that on the ashes of his youth doth lie. Now, you have to be somewhat experienced with fires in order to get this metaphor, or at least with a campfire or a bonfire. How many of you have been at a bonfire? Or you've camped and you've built a fire at night and then had to stir the embers in the morning? Because what happens to that fire? You lay a whole bunch of wood up and then you light it. The wood, initially, you can still see. Flames are coming out of it, right? What happens after a few hours? Breaks down to ash and embers. Is it cold? No. No, it's still hot. Okay? So in me thou seest the glowing of such fire, that on the ashes of his youth doth lay. Notice, the ashes are the youth. Why? What do we metaphorically do as we grow old? We burn up our age. We burn up our youth. Okay? As the deathbed, whereon it must expire, that is, the fire must expire, consumed with that which it was nourished by. Notice, the fire is consumed by that. What's the that? No. It's the wood that burned to produce ash. The ash does what to the fire after a while? It suffocates it. That's why if you use a wood stove, you bank that fire up at night, in the morning, you've got to settle out that ash so that you have the embers, so that you can use the embers to light kindling for the next fire. If you don't settle out the ash, what does it do? It suffocates the embers, which is why you can end up with a cold ash the next morning that has pieces of charcoal in it. That's merely wood that hasn't burned all the way. All right? Consume with that which it was nourished by. So the three images are all getting at what? What's the speaker suggesting is happening to him? He's dying, he's aging, something like that. This thou perceivest, which makes thy love more strong. Notice, you understand this. You know this already. And it makes your love stronger. What? To love that well, which thou must leave, or what your gloss say? Lose ere long. Notice who's doing the leaving. It's not the speaker. It's the person being addressed. Okay? The gloss, leave can mean lose. What happens when a tree leaves? The leaves fall. Okay? It loses them. So what is the speaker suggesting? What's going on in this relationship we've been talking about? For some reason, we don't know what, the beloved has got to separate, has got to break away from the speaker of the poems. Something has happened in the relationship that there needs to be some kind of divorce between them. All right? Go from there to 87. Farewell. Thou art too dear for my possessing, and like enough thou know'st thy estimate. The charter of thy worth gives thee releasing. My bonds in thee are all determinate. For how do I hold thee but by thy granting? And for that riches, where is my deserving? The cause of this fair gift in me is wanting, and so my patent back again is swerving. Thyself thou gavest, thy own worth then not knowing, or me to whom thou gavest it else mistaking. So thy great gift, upon misprision growing, comes home again, on better judgment making. Thus have I had thee as a dream doth flatter, in sleep a king, but waking no such matter. Thou art too dear for my possessing. Expensive, your gloss tells you. Or too much loved. It's too hard for me to love you. It's too much emotional toil. Okay? And like enough thou know'st thy estimate. So too dear and estimate and possessing tells us that the speaker is using what kind of language? Financial, commodity, economics. Okay? The charter of thy worth, that is the legal document that spells out thy boundaries, so to speak. The charter of thy worth gives thee releasing. That is, the document stating your value releases you from any associated debts. My bonds in thee are all determinate. Terminate, out of time. Okay? My bond, what? Has come due. He's saying, I have to release you. For how do I hold thee hold, own, possess, but by thy granting. The person being addressed has done what with him or herself, let's say. Remember, 1 through 126 are generally addressed to the golden-haired youth. That person has given himself to the speaker. All right? Not literally, but given his heart, so to speak, or his soul, so to speak. How do I hold thee but by thy granting? And for that riches, where is my deserving? In other words, I'm not worthy. I don't deserve you. Not, I don't deserve you. Now, you notice the two differences in the tone. I don't deserve you. You are too great for me, too high for me. You know, you've all seen pictures of some drop-dead gorgeous beauty and some funny looking, and you're like, how does this, work? All right? The cause of this fair gift in me is wanting. What's meant by wanting? Lacking. The cause of your giving yourself to me is lacking. In other words, there is no cause in me that makes you give yourself to me. And so my patent, back again, is swerving. My ownership goes back to you. In other words, your ownership of yourself goes back to you. Thyself thou gavest. Thy own worth then not knowing. You gave of yourself what? You didn't have a proper estimate of your own self-worth. Okay? He's not talking self-worth like innate human worth, but kind of how society values you. And again, not values you as a member of society, but in terms of kind of a social, pecking status or romantic status or something like that. Thyself thou gavest, thy own worth then not knowing, or, that is, you didn't actually know what you were worth, or you gave yourself to me, what? Mistaking me. So thy great gift upon misprision, error, it's really like imprecision, growing, comes home again. The speaker is suggesting that the beloved now realizes, you dirty, rotten schmuck. Now I know the real you. When I gave myself to you, I didn't know what you really were. It's a nice poem to be talking about on today, election day of all days. Misprision and all that. Comes home again on better judgment making. Thus have I had thee as a dream doth flatter. You've all had these dreams. Somebody in that dream, and you start to wake up and you're like, no. You want to hold on to that dream. Why? Because in sleep, a king. What's Hamlet say? Oh, that I could sleep bounded in a nutshell and be a king of infinity. But that I dream. Dreams come in from outside. In sleep, a king, but waking, no such matter. Now, what does he mean? In sleep, a king, but waking, no such matter. Does he simply mean, I'm not a king in real life? That is one thing he means. What else does he mean? They're opposites. In sleeping, I'm a king. In waking, I'm about as far away from a king as you can get. So, social status, is he at the lowest of the low? Okay. Actors were not well thought of in Shakespeare's day. They weren't, acting was not a profession one should aspire to. Okay? It's kind of like, almost like, teaching. Those who can do and those who can't teach, Okay, look at 90, do I have 93? Yeah, 93. So shall I live, supposing thou art true. What does the supposing mean? Thinking, believing, assuming. How about pretending? So shall I live, pretending thou art true, like a deceived husband. Notice, the husband here is actually deceived. It's not that the husband is pretending to be deceived. Okay? So shall I live, supposing thou art true, like a deceived husband. So love's face may still seem love to me, though altered new. Doesn't mean the person being loved has gone out and had, a nose job done or something. It's not what's meant by altered. It means the person's face is altered because it's no longer focused on the speaker. Remember the Sonnet 20 that talked about false women's rolling eyes? How their eyes don't focus just on the beloved, but look here and here and here and here. Though altered new, thy looks with me, thy heart in other place. You're pretending to love me, but I know you really love someone else. For there can live no hatred in thine eye. Therefore in that I cannot know thy change. Why can no hatred live in thine eye? His or her eye. Because this poem, it's not clear whether or not it's the golden-haired youth or the dark lady being addressed. Because this person, physically, appearance-wise, is perfect. There can be no falsehood in this person's eyes. This person's eyes merely say love. Both of them are. And he says, so I can't look at your face and say, you're cheating on me. No. In many's looks, the false heart's history is writ in moods and frowns and wrinkles strange. In many people's faces, you can tell when they're lying to you because of the frowns, the wrinkles, and the moods that they show. But heaven in thy creation did decree that in thy face sweet love should ever dwell. The quintessence of virtue in this person's face. Whate'er thy thoughts or thy heart's workings be, thy looks should nothing thence but sweetness tell. Notice distinction between internal self and external self. Your external self might be nothing but love, but you internally, notice, might be different, whatever thy thoughts or thy heart's workings. So, look how the speaker sums this up. How like Eve's apple doth thy beauty grow? What does that line 13, immediately tell you? By equating the beauty of the person with Eve's apple. What? Okay, it's tempting. What else? What does Eve's apple show? Okay, you take a bite of it and what? It's promised to do what? To open your eyes, to make you become like God. But you take a bite and what does it give you instead? Death. Okay? How like Eve's apple doth thy beauty grow, if thy sweet virtue answer not thy show. Where's the sweet virtue reside? Inside. What's thy show? The outward appearance. What's the outward appearance of the apple? It was desirous to the eyes. It promised good things, knowledge. And yet its interior produced death. Okay? So what's the speaker suggesting? This is one of those double-edged sonnets. Man, you are gorgeous. I only hope your inside is as gorgeous as your outside. Or are you only beautiful on the outside, but death on the inside? Okay, look at 94. They that have power to hurt and will do none, that do not do the thing they most do show. Look at your footnote. It is not entirely clear what this thing is, but it probably relates to romantic or sexual activity. Though they inspire love, they do not reciprocate, is one possible paraphrase. So go back to the beginning. They that have power to hurt and will do none. They have power to injure and yet don't injure. Okay? The will there can mean and desire, okay, to do no injury. That do not do the thing they most do show. Appear. That is, this thing seems to be that which they naturally appear to do, and yet the speaker says they don't. Who, moving others, are themselves as stone, that is, unmoving. God in the ancient system, according to Aristotle, God is the prime mover, though God himself, according to Aristotle, is unmoving, unchanging, immutable. But everything else moves kind of around God. Who moving others are themselves as stone, unmoved, cold, and to temptation slow. What is the speaker getting at? Remember how the speaker described the golden-haired youth in some of the earlier poems? For example, all hues and hues controlling. Okay? Where he says, his appearance controls all other appearances. The kind of person that walks into a crowded room and all eyes are right on that person because of how beautiful this person is. Okay? So how does this person move others and yet doesn't move him or herself? Unmoved, cold, and to temptation slow. I think the speaker is saying, this person can't help but cause other people to feel tempted. And yet, the individual is doing nothing. This is not the proverbial case, the beautiful woman dressing provocatively, designed to entice. No, this should almost be just the opposite. The beautiful woman dressed extremely modestly, like an Amish woman, covered up everything. And yet, people are still tempted. They, this is they that have power, these kinds of people, they rightly do inherit heaven's graces and husband nature's riches from expense. Husband, your gloss tells you, conserve. Okay? Like animal husbandry, where you conserve the traits, the genes of particular animals through breeding. Okay? They don't give easily away of heaven's riches. They don't spend it all. They are the lords and owners of their faces. That is, they control them. Others, but stewards of their excellence. Others, stewards of their excellence. Their excellence is not talking about these people. It's talking about other people are merely stewards of their excellence. That is, they don't control how they appear. What does he mean? He means the kind of people who can't control their reactions, who can't control how they appear to people. The proverbial poker face. Okay? The summer's flower is to the summer sweet. Look to itself, it only live and die. That is, for itself, what does the summer flower do? Grows, blossoms, wilts, dies. That's it. That is, it serves no other purpose. But if that flower with base infection meet, base, common, low, vulgar, but also think flower, base at its root, killing it quickly. If that flower with base infection meet, the basest weed outbraves his dignity. The basest weed does what? Overcomes it, overshadows it, kills it. For sweetest things turn sourest by their deeds. Right? Think of a nice sweet food. And you leave it alone, and what does it do? It turns base, it turns sour, it turns rancid. Lilies that fester smell far worse than weeds. Why? What are lilies? What are they supposed to be? What do they represent? Purity. Weeds? What are you supposed to do with weeds? Kill them, pull them, get rid of them. Lilies? No. You're supposed to breed those. So what's the import of this poem? What is the speaker suggesting? Especially following a couple of the earlier ones we saw.
The sweeter the being, the worse it is if they're not what they seem to be.
Bingo. Perfect. The sweeter, the more beautiful it is, what? The fouler it becomes if it doesn't maintain that sweetness, that beauty, that internal virtue. Okay? So what's the speaker saying? Think of the narrative of speaker, golden-haired youth, dark lady, speaker, golden-haired youth, have a relationship of the minds, so to speak. The speaker introduces the golden-haired youth to the dark lady, and they hook up physically. They don't necessarily have a meeting of the minds. It's not about the minds with them. It's all about the bodies. Okay? So what might the speaker now be suggesting about either golden-haired youth or dark lady? Don't you go turning on me now. The speaker seems to be suggesting that the beloved is not all they are cracked up to be. They are not all the speaker what? Thought they were. It's kind of about fallen idols more than anything else. Because what happens, human relationally, if we put all our source of joy and happiness in another person? It's a mild way to put it. All those source of joy and happiness get stopped, Cue the country music. Every song. It's just, she stole my heart, ripped that sucker out, stabbed it, tramped on it, etc. Okay? 97. How like a winter hath my absence been from thee, the pleasure of the fleeting year. Oh, so now we're told, literally, I've been absent from thee. Okay? And notice it's my absence from thee, not your absence from me. Okay? What freezings have I felt? Why? Because he's using the language of winter. What freezings have I felt? What dark days seen? What old December's bareness or barrenness, you can read that both ways, everywhere. And yet this time removed was summer's time. That is, the time of my absence was summertime. That's when we separated, in the summer. And yet for him, the speaker is saying, yet it's like winter. The teeming autumn, big, with rich increase. Big with, great with, about to give birth to. Maybe not literally, but maybe literally. Okay? bearing the wanton burden of his prime. Burden, contents of a womb, prime, spring, etc. Fall comes what? 9 months after spring. Okay? Like widowed wombs after their lord's decease. Yet this abundant issue, offspring, seemed to me but hope of orphans and unfathered fruit. For summer and his pleasures wait on thee. Wait, attend. Summer and the pleasures of summer, the speaker is saying, serve you. Okay? And thou away, the very birds are mute. I don't even hear them sing. Or if they sing, 'tis with so dull a cheer that leaves look pale, dreading the winter's near. So has the speaker literally been away during the winter? No. He's saying, honey, any moment without you, it's like the dead of winter in my heart. Okay, now look at 98. Because 98 implies a change in attitude by the speaker. From you have I been absent in the spring, when proud-pied April, dressed in all his trim, hath put a spirit of youth in everything. That heavy Saturn laughed and leaped with him. Okay, so I've been away from you in the spring, and what does April do? Proud-pied, party-colored, we're told. What does that mean, party-colored? April with all its various hues. Look at the flowers of April. You get the whole colors of the rainbow. Okay? Dressed in all his trim, adornment, ornament. Hath put a spirit of youth in everything. What's that spirit of youth? Hormonal rages, lust, sexual desire. That heavy Saturn, planetary god associated astrologically with the melancholy humor. In other words, he's even put the old melancholy depressed Saturn in a good mood. Yet nor the lays of birds, that is the songs, nor the sweet smell of different flowers in odor and in hue, could make me any summer story tell, or from their proud lap pluck them where they grew. Nor did I wonder at the lily's white, nor praise the deep vermilion in the rose. They were but sweet, but figures of delight, drawn after you, you pattern of all those. Okay, so before we do the final couplet, what is he saying? Assuming the speaker is a he, talking about the lily white, the deep vermilion of the rose, the different flowers in color and hue, or in odor and hue, when he says, these were but sweet figures of delight. And what's the master copy? Drawn after you. You pattern of all those. So the you, whoever the you is the source of all hues and odors of flowers, the source of the variation of color. Okay? So what's he actually saying? Patrick, you got a smirk on your face. Yet seemed it winter still, and you away, as with your shadow I with these did play. What's the with these? Well, you, the Platonic ideal of all colors of flowers, of all odors of flowers. You were away. So what did I do? I played with the mere copies of the Platonic ideal. In other words, while you were away, I went after Alice, Susie, and Jane. That's what the speaker is suggesting. Okay. I was absent from you. What's the implication? If we weren't separated, I wouldn't be looking for mere poor copies of you. Okay, so you're in a relationship. You really think this is going to work with the other member of your relationship? No, honey, really, I didn't cheat on you. Actually, every time I slept with a woman, it was you I was really thinking about. Because you were the, don't, you know.
Has anyone tried that before?
Men are dumb enough, probably, yeah. And some women. I won't ascribe that to many, but. Okay, 106. So, I mean, there's still this separation. This is one of Shakespeare, I think at least, one of the most beautiful sonnets. When in the chronicle of wasted time, I see descriptions of the fairest wights. In beauty making beautiful old rhyme, in praise of ladies dead and lovely knights. Then in the blazon of sweet beauty's best, of hand, of foot, of lip, of eye, of brow, I see their antic pen would have expressed even such a beauty as you master now. So all their praises are but prophesies of this our time, all you prefiguring. And for they looked but with divining eyes, they had not skill enough your worth to sing. For we which now behold these present days have eyes to wonder, but lack tongues to praise. Okay. So just generally, what's the thrust of that poem? What's the speaker saying about the person being either addressed or described?
It's kind of like I don't know, like they have like beautiful flowers in front of you trying to paint it, but every time you try to paint it's just terrible. You have to replicate.
Okay. Look at the first quatrain.
It's almost like the subject of the poem is being compared to like, I guess, antiquity.
Yeah,
Perfection of unattainable perfection.
exactly. The subject of the poem is unattainable, is indescribable beauty. When in the chronicles of wasted time, I see descriptions of the fairest wights. Sir Gawain the Green Knight, Launval. What are the descriptions of Launval's fairy lover or of Sir Bertilac's wife? They're drop-dead gorgeous. Guinevere, drop-dead gorgeous. And beauty making beautiful old rhyme. The beauty of the women is what makes the old rhyme beautiful. In praise of ladies dead in lovely knights. So, he's talking about reading these old works of literature that are about beautiful people. Okay? Then, in the blazon of sweet beauty's best. Talked about this before. What does it mean? It is a catalog of beauty. Okay? And we're going to see a couple later on in the semester. Well, next couple weeks. Of sweet beauty's best, of hand, of foot, of lip, of eye, of brow. Notice, he's not said anything about the hand, the foot, the lip, the eye, the brow. That is, he's not given a description. He hasn't said lips red as roses, brow white as snow. Foot and hand, I don't know what you're going to equate those with, beautiful wise. I see their antic pen would have expressed even such a beauty as you master now. Those old dead poets, when they describe these things, he says, they could describe your beauty. So all their praises are but prophecies. It's just like what he just said in Sonnet 98. The old beauties he was talking about, he wasn't really talking about Guinevere, Launval's lover, and Bertilac's wife. They were prefigurements. They were prophecies of you. All you prefiguring. And for they looked but with divining eyes, kind of guessing, seeing into the future. They had not skill enough your worth to sing. Okay? Even with as well as they did it, they still can't nail you, so to speak. For we which now behold these present days, we who are alive right now have eyes to wonder. We can look at you and be full of awe, but what? We lack tongues to praise. What does he mean? Like seeing something that is awesome, we lack the language to describe it. We can't even put it into words. What's the it? Your beauty. Okay? The speaker's kind of no longer talking about, hey baby, you better live up to that beauty. What's inside better be as beautiful as what's on the outside. Now it's all just, you're glorious. Okay? 116. Perhaps the most anthologized of all of Shakespeare's sonnets. Growing up in California in the 60s and 70s, this poem was often used as vows for wedding ceremonies. Okay? And I think, unfortunately, with the people, the hippies, using it, not really understanding the poem. Let me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments. Love is not love, which alters when it alteration finds, or bends with the remover to remove. Oh no, it is an ever-fixed mark that looks on tempests and is never shaken. It is the star to every wandering bark, whose worth's unknown, although his height be taken. Love's not time's fool, though rosy lips and cheeks within his bending sickle's compass come. Love alters not with his brief hours and weeks, but bears it out even to the edge of doom. Okay, let's stop there and go back to the first quatrain. You've got a gloss about the impediments. The marriage service in the Book of Common Prayer from 1552. If any of you know cause or just impediment why these two persons should not be joined together in holy matrimony, ye are to declare it. That's part of the language of the bands that I was talking about. Right? So, let me not to the marriage of true, what? Minds. Minds admit impediments. When John Milton writes his Doctrine and Discipline of Divorce, it's a pamphlet in support of divorce. He does it on the basis of the marriage, the true union of minds. And he says, if there is not a true communion of the minds, there should be a divorce between the two. Because they will never be compatible. Because he and his wife didn't get along. They didn't divorce, if I remember correctly. They hated each other, but all right. So, let me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments. What is that line and a half saying? Possibly, he's saying there can be no impediment to the marriage of true minds. Okay? In other words, nothing can stop true minds from being married. What's meant by true? Is it simply not false? I mean, that's one thing we mean by true. But we also talk about bicycle tires as being true. It means straight, upright. So the true minds will be what? Always. If they are true, they'll always be parallel. They'll always be running in tandem. In other words, there will never be this. Which is what? A veering off. Or do it this way. There will never be this. A declining from that. Okay? So what's an impediment? If these true minds are walking on along, an impediment is something that gets in the way. If they're true minds, then what happens? It just charges on along. Let me not to the true minds admit impediments. Love is not love, which alters when it alteration finds. This isn't love. Let's say this is wedding day. This is 1, 5, 10, 20 years. And at 20 years, baby, I don't love you anymore. Let's call it quits. Or, I found somebody else. Love is not true love, which alters what? When it alteration finds. He's not talking about this one. He's talking about this one's love. This is not love if it alters when it alteration, the alteration is over here, finds. So what's the speaker suggesting? This is mind-blowing if you think about it. That even though this person says, I found somebody else, I'm leaving you. This is not love if it alters, if it changes. When this one says, sayonara. Okay? And I think I could be completely off here. It just hit me. I've been teaching this damn poem for 20 years, 25 years. Shakespeare might have in mind the book of Hosea, which if you're familiar with it, if you're not, read it. It's very short. It's all about God and the nation of Israel, and the nation of Israel going a-whoring, okay? And God, metaphorically, and God telling Hosea, yeah, well, you got to stay true to your wife, even though your wife is the one who's gone whoring. Do not alter when you find alteration. That's why I said, there's not enough duct tape in the world to wrap your mind around that. Okay? Love is not love, which alters when an alteration finds. And to make the point even clearer, or bends with the remover to remove. The remover? Hell with you. I'm going off here. That's one way of reading it. The other way of reading it is the remover is, let's say, everything's going along just swimmingly in this relationship, and this person, you're moving here, this person suddenly sees, so we'll call this A, call this B, person C. With the remover, or bends with the remover, it doesn't refract over here. No. If it's true love of minds, or love of true minds, it does what? It doesn't alter. Oh, no. It is an ever-fixed mark. Ever-fixed means what? Steadfast, permanent, never-changing, eternal. It is an ever-fixed mark that looks on tempests and is never shaken. Okay? He's starting an image here. He hasn't gotten all the way there yet. What's the image of? It's a sailing metaphor. It's a seaman metaphor. Okay? What's the ever-fixed mark? If you're in the northern hemisphere, you're out on the ocean, what do you look for? The pole star, the North Star, Polaris. If you're in the southern hemisphere, I think it's the Southern Cross is what you look for. Okay? That is, you find that, you can navigate. It's an ever-fixed mark that does what? Looks on tempests. It looks down on, let's quote a different Shakespeare, the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. And is never shaken. Never shaken. Love looks down. Okay? It is the star to every To every bark, every wandering bark. Why wandering? What does wandering imply? Okay, movement, aimlessness, no direction, no purpose, no destination. Wandering could be, la 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 la, as he sees, C, D, E, F. Keeps in a straight line, though. Whose worth's unknown, that is love's worth unknown, the star's worth unknown, although his height be taken. Okay? Look at your gloss. Altitude can be reckoned for navigation purposes using a sextant, but whose essence remains unknown. Try answering this one. What is love? Question that can kill a relationship. Why do you love me? Guys, if your girlfriend/wife asks you that, and you say, oh, it's because of your great body. Wrong answer. It's because of your beautiful face. Wrong answer. It's because of your winning personality. There is no correct answer. That's like, does this make me look too fat? It's like, can you take the word too out? Or can you take the word fat? Love's not time's fool. Time's fool. What's meant by fool? Plaything. Toy. Love's not time's toy. Though rosy lips and cheeks within his bending sickle's compass come. Notice, rosy lips and cheeks. Probably not describing what half of the human race? Men. Probably not describing men. So, rosy lips and cheeks is probably describing women. Women who do what? Come within time's bending sickle's compass. Well, what does time do? If it has a sickle and it's bent, that is, time is bent over, and it turns, what does it do? It makes a circle. Okay? What's he suggesting? In my circle, my sphere, what happens on a daily basis? I come into contact, not physically, but class-wise and such. I come into contact physically with rosy lips and cheeks that aren't necessarily my wife's of 31 years. Okay? That's why he says, love's not time's fool, time's plaything. Yeah, I'm going to admit, rosy lips and cheeks do come within time's sickle compass. Love alters not with his times, brief hours and weeks. In other words, love isn't dependent upon what? Time. It's not like you wake up at 25 years and say, all my love ran out. The hourglass needs to be turned, but bears it out even to the edge of doom. What is the edge of doom? Death? Judgment Day? Okay. If this be error, and upon me proved, that is, I admit I might be wrong. I never writ, nor no man ever loved. If this be error, and upon me proved, I never wrote. But what did he just do? He just wrote the poem. The last line answers the if. I did write, I did writ. Therefore, men have moved. Okay? Is he saying this is what everybody does when they say they love? No. I have no idea why that says 94 after 116. 127. I don't know why I had some of those in more than once. 127. This is the first one that specifically is about the Dark Lady. Okay? In the old age, that is long ago period, the gloss just tells you earlier times, black was not counted fair. Black was not seen as beautiful. Or if it were, it bore not beauty's name. Or if it was, nobody said so. But now is black beauty's successive, that is legitimate by succession, heir. In beauty slandered with a bastard shame. That is, the previously held view of beauty, that of whiteness, has been discredited as illegitimate and false. Well, the Elizabethan idea of beauty was false because it was powdered white. Okay? For since each hand hath put on nature's power, what does he mean? This is long before the cosmetics industry, but that's what he's talking about. But since each hand is now able to do what? To turn what is foul fair. But since each hand hath put on nature's power, fairing the foul with art's false borrowed face, sweet beauty hath no name, no holy bower. And I think by sweet, he means simple, unadorned, plain beauty. But is profaned if not lives in disgrace. Therefore, notice the turn, my mistress's eyes are raven black, black as night. Her eyes so suited, that is dressed, attired, and they mourners seem at such who not born fair, no beauty lack. Got a gloss down there. Slandering creation with false esteem. But so they mourn, that is, my beauty's eyes mourn. Notice they're dressed in black, becoming of their woe. That is, fitting of their woe. That every tongue says beauty should look so. That is, everybody who looks at her goes, look at those eyes. And yet they're black eyes. They're not, deep blue or green or gray. Okay? 129. So that's the first one that deals with the Dark Lady. 129. This is telling us, getting us to the idea of what the speaker's relationship with the Dark Lady is. The expense of spirit and a waste of shame is lust in action. Expense of spirit, that is, the spending of spirit, okay, and in the Renaissance, it was a widely held belief that every time you achieved an orgasm, you died a little bit. Okay, so the expense of spirit, giving a little bit of your spirit, notice, in a waste of shame. Yes, Shakespeare is punning on the word waste. Not just a uselessness, but a waste, the middle part of the body, of shame, is lust in action. What's lust in action? Lust being performed. Until action, that is, and until lust is performed, lust is perjured, murderous, bloody, full of blame, savage, extreme, rude, cruel, not to trust. Why? Because it's not doing anything. It's mere talk. Enjoyed, that is, once lust is enjoyed, no sooner but despised straight. Are you familiar with the film Hitch? Okay. There's the scene where, what's her name, Mendez's wife, girlfriend, Katie, the girl from the South, goes off and sleeps with this bond trader or something. And Hitch's character meets up with the guy and talks with him, and then Eva Mendez's character also meets with him, and she kicks him between the legs, and he says something to the effect of, all this for a lousy lay. Okay? That's what that line is about. The line, enjoyed no sooner but despised straight. That is, the object of one's lustful desire, as soon as one attains, it's like, well, that wasn't as good as I thought it was going past reason hunted. What does that mean, past reason? What happens if you go past reason? You're crazy, right? Past reason hunted, and no sooner had or achieved, past reason hated as a swallowed bait. Well, what happens when you swallow bait? What is always attached to that bait? There's a hook. On purpose laid to make the taker mad. And Shakespeare is probably punning on here on venereal disease. Mad in pursuit, mad beyond reason, okay? And in possession so, had, having, and in quest to have, extreme. In other words, the idea is anything to the extreme is crazy. A bliss in proof. That is, in the actual act, bliss. Improved, once done, a very woe. Before, a joy proposed. Behind, a dream. What's a dream? Something insubstantial. Something not real. All this the world well knows. Yet none knows well to shun the heaven that leads men to this hell. In other words, everybody knows this, but men, none of you know how to say no. 130. Sting ripped this off for the title of an album and a song. My mistress's eyes are nothing like the sun. That's what happens when you have an MA in literature and become, one of the greatest selling rock musicians of all time. My mistress's eyes are nothing like the sun. Coral is far more red than her lips red. The entire poem serves as a blazon with this little twist. It's an anti-blazon. Okay? Because Shakespeare is turning all of the traditional tropes on their head. He's reversing them. My mistress's eyes are nothing like the sun. In traditional sonnets of the Renaissance period, their eyes are like the sun, as we saw in the earlier sonnet. False women's eyes do what? They gild the things whereon they look. Okay? Coral is far more red than her lips red. How red is coral? Okay, it's kind of pinkish. Where is coral red? Let me put it down. When it's living in the ocean, what part of the ocean does coral live in? Okay, coral reefs. Where are there reefs? What part of the ocean? Tropics. The water has to be warm. Are there any tropics near England? No. Okay. So what would Shakespeare's experience of coral have been? Chunks of it that had been brought back from Bermuda. Bermuda had been discovered in the 1590s. Okay. We know Shakespeare's probably referring to a shipwreck on Bermuda when he writes Twelfth Night. Tempest and what's that other play? Drawing a blank on it. So the coral he saw probably would be light pink. So coral is far more red than her lips red. So if the coral he saw was light pink, then how light pink are her lips? If snow be white, why then her breasts are dun. What color is dun? I'm trying to see if anybody has anything. Kind of the color of Natalie's shirt. Okay. It's kind of dishwater. Well, that's not nice. It's kind of dishwatery gray. Okay. In other words, this isn't Snow White we're talking about. In traditional sonnets of the period, the breast would be snow white. Okay. If hairs be wires, black wires grow on her head. So what's he saying about the texture of her hair? It's coarse. It's wiry. Huh. I have seen Roma's dacite. Man, that's what happened to me. I've been up since 2 o'clock. I have seen roses damask. What does that mean? Okay, party color. You've seen roses before that have red and white in them? But no such roses see I in her cheeks. And it's my absolute favorite couplet from all of Shakespeare's sonnets. And in some perfumes is there more delight than in the breath that from my mistress reeks. Just pure genius. Okay? So she smells like a garbage truck when she breathes. That's a nice image. I love to hear her speak, yet well I know, and music hath a far more pleasing sound. Cue the Fran Drescher, audio, the nanny. I grant I never saw a goddess go. The other sonneteers always describe their lovers as goddesses. Okay? My mistress, when she walks, treads on the ground. And he's saying a couple of things there. Okay, 1, she's not a goddess. 2, she treads on the ground. But what else is he saying by saying she treads on the ground? She's real, definitely.
Heavy step.
Could be heavy step. Maybe she's like the other woman in Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, broad buttock and everything. Don't really think so. Saying she's a streetwalker. He's suggesting, possibly, she's a whore. Okay? You don't get more real than that, by the way. And yet, by heaven, he swears an oath. I think my love is rare as any other goddess in any of these other sonnet sequences, as any she belied with false compare. So is he really saying she has kinky black hair, she's got dirty colored skin, or dark skin? Or is he saying, my lover's real? And when I hop into bed at night, I'm with my lover, whereas all these other guys are curling up with their poems about their goddesses. Woohoo! A lot of fun that is. Okay? Now, a guy, 5-10 years ago, and I can't remember her name, the scholars recommended or suggested who he thinks the Dark Lady is. And she was associated, I'm trying to remember how, she was associated somehow with the Lord Chamberlain's men. She wasn't an actress because women weren't actresses at the time. And suggests that Shakespeare actually was having an illicit love affair with her. I don't remember what his evidence was. If I can find it again, I'll post it to D2L. 10:57. Yeah, we'll do 135, and if we have time, we'll do 144, or we'll just drop it. 135. Now, this is Shakespeare's quote-unquote dirty poem, if you need a Shakespeare dirty poem. He's punning on the use of the word will. Okay? Notice the gloss down at the bottom. In Shakespeare's time, the word could also refer to sexual desire and even to the genitals. So it refers to volition. It refers to just general desire or wishes. It refers to sexual desire and to male and female genitalia. Whoever hath her wish, thou hast thy will. Okay? Notice will there capitalized. And will to boot and will in overplus. Is he punning on the various meanings there? More than enough am I that vex thee still. To thy sweet will, lowercase, making addition thus. The making addition, there's implied by will, thus. Wilt thou, whose will is large and spacious, okay? Renaissance notion that women's sexual desire can never be satiated or satisfied. Wilt thou, whose will is large and spacious, not once vouchsafe to hide my will in thine? Come on, baby, just once. That's all I need, just once. Shall will in others seem right gracious, and in my will no fair acceptance shine? What is the speaker suggesting? Come on, you gave it up to him and him and him and him and him. Why not me too? The sea, so he uses a metaphor. The sea, all water, yet receives rain still, and in abundance addeth to his store. So thou, being rich in will, capitalized, add to thy will one will of mine to make thy large will more. Will also implies what else other than the four meanings we've suggested? You have a last will and testament, that is, things you're going to bequeath, to make thy large will, thy large betrothal. Is that a word? Bequeathal? Betrothal. Man. Let no unkind. Your gloss says unkindness, but it also means unnatural. Okay? Let no unkind, no fair beseechers kill. Think all but one. Think all wills but one will, and me in that one will. You have my will. You don't need any others. Why? Because we're all alike. But even more than that, what's he saying? Once you've tried my will, you won't want any other wills. Okay? Or once you've tried this will, punning on the name, you won't need any other will. 1101. Quickly. Yeah, we can do this one real fast. Two loves I have of comfort and despair. Okay? This is getting at this image. Speaker, golden-haired youth, dark lady. Two loves I have of comfort and despair, which like two spirits do suggest me still. Two spirits. Think of the classic Bugs Bunny, Warner Brothers cartoons. Good angel on the right shoulder, bad demon on the left shoulder. The better angel is a man right fair. So, better angel, okay, this is the comfort. She's the despair. Right, guys? The better angel is a man right fair, the worser spirit a woman colored ill, meaning dark favored. Okay? To win me soon to hell, my female evil tempteth my better angel from my side. In other words, she's sitting there eyeing him going, yeah, tempting him away from him. Okay? And would corrupt my saint to be a devil, wooing his purity with her foul pride. Well, what did he spend so much time in the first, 40, 50, 60, 70 sonnets saying? Have children. Go on, go out there, have sex, make more of you. Not with her, is what he seems to be saying. Right? And whether that my angel be turned fiend, suspect I may. My angel, this one, the good one, may be turned fiend, meaning what? False to me. How? By sleeping with her, not because the speaker wants to sleep with him. The speaker is suggesting she will not do what? She'll not only sleep with him, she'll take his mind. She'll take that intellectual friendship away. Suspect I may, yet not directly tell. Why not? Because we've already been told, I look at your face and your face can't tell me any lies because all I see there is love. But, being both from me, both to each friend, that is, the only reason they know each other is because of their relationship to me, and therefore they become friends. I guess one angel, this one, in another's hell, this one. Yet this shall I ne'er know, but live in doubt, till my bad angel Fire my good one out. And you got a whole bunch of glosses there. Expel or reject my good angel. Until she's used them up and thrown them away. Okay? Or possibly fever, with perhaps a glancing reference to venereal disease. That is, he sleeps with her, he gets the clap, and he goes, damn you, Will. You introduced me to her and she gave me the disease. Okay? Possibly. Okay, I can't believe we got through all this. So, starting on Thursday, we'll do done. And we will do as much of done as we can, which probably will be through valediction forbidding mourning.